update and a discussion with our esteemed Finance Director, Paul Adams, regarding the town's AARPA funds.
AARPA funds. Yes. All right. I just basically brought in the spreadsheet. Let me see. And I try to reduce this a little bit. So when we started this process with the ARPA money, we determined that we got about $4,050,000. So we determined that $350,000 were going to go to grants, which is up here. $2,500,000 was going to be devoted to the wastewater treatment plant, the phase 2 project, and the remaining $1,260,000 would be for general government services, which actually gives quite a bit of flexibility as to how they can be spent. So as of today, we have spent $350,000 of grants, which were given out last July. We've actually spent the entire $2,500,000 that was devoted to the sewer treatment plant. And we've only spent $33,900 of the general government services. So the remaining ARPA funds is $1,166,000. So you have until the end of 2024 to obligate these funds, and you have until the end of 2026 to actually spend these funds. So we should start to come up with a strategy as to put these funds to good use. There are a number of options which we discussed previously, but as I said, there's a lot of flexibility, so you're not necessarily restricted to a list of 8 or 10 things.
You know, it's funny because that reconciliation we just did, we have 1.166 million left in that general government services. A lot of latitude. Heretofore, there's been, almost as something comes up, we're like, oh, we could use the ARPA funds for that. Kind of more of a reactive as something comes up. And on the other side of the coin there is, do we come up with a strategy by the board and do it? Well, this is what we're going to use the 1.1664 and obligated by the end of 24 and spend it by the end of 26. And, I really don't know if the town board has really decided on which of those ends of the spectrum we want to do. Wait till things come up and say, hey, should we use the ARPA funds for that? Or be more of a proactive, I know we're starting to talk to the town departments on that 5-year capital thing, like what are you looking for that might not fit into an annual budget for the next 5 years?
Right.
That maybe would give some, clear clue into what might be used for ARPA. Because with spending it by the end of 26, we have 3 more budget years that we could use this for stuff that is not going to go into the budget. So there's a lot of different ways to attack this. We're not here to make a decision tonight on that, but what is the board members' feelings on those 2 ends of the spectrum?
One thing I recall talking about potentially using some ARPA funds was for a new pump truck for the wastewater treatment plant, given the amount of money that we've spent in the past year in repairs. So that's the only thing I recall discussing potentially.
I would prefer to see that 5-year look and determine just what it should be dedicated to. I'm just throwing it at things that come up. I don't think is a real
What's the cost of that truck?
Estimating about $500,000. And
Okay.
actually, we'll be meeting with one of our vendors starting tomorrow.
Thanks.
It's a big chunk.
Knock on wood. Okay. We'll get through the year.
I haven't shared with you, but you're absolutely right.
Katie, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that when whatever we have, it's not, cut for the budget, it'll be about 2%. So I think we can just do what, last for our community and see what the funds are going to be good for, see what get allocated.
Bill?
Got a highway project coming up, we could put something towards that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny, and Bill, ever played one of those golf tournaments where you can buy the mulligans, like, extra putt or this and that? And you're playing with a group of people, and it's like, well, how do you manage that? Do you use them early on, or do you ever run into one where you saved it to the end, and all of a sudden you're on the 18th hole, and you waited too long? And I use that analogy because if we just wait for things to come along, my concern is that we're going to get into the middle of 2026 and end up using this $1 million for stuff that, if we would have thought it out in advance, So I think, and especially as we go into 24, sometime between now and the beginning of 24, Paul, thank you for giving this presentation because it shined a light on all the key performance indicators of this, if you want to call it, how much has been spent, this dedicated. Somehow, and if it's in another workshop or whatever, or if we get out of the budget process and we look at this 5-year look forward by the town department heads, starting to put together a list of things, like Bill said, with the highway department and what's going on there, and have a list to look at, and by the end of the year, going into 24, and I'd like to make this decision while Bill is still on the board, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that has to be done by resolution or whatever, but the board says this is what we're going to use this 1.166 for, even if it's over the 3-year period of 24 to 26. It's got to be all spent by 26. So, that would be my suggestion.
It'd be good to solidify it with a resolution.
Because a significant portion of that money that we've spent already was utilized for the wastewater treatment plant, section, phase 2. So it would make sense that we take a look at spending some of that money, most or all of it, on the highway department. It's worth having a discussion.
Yeah, we could put it towards some of the consultant fees we have to pay for the highway project.